If I am asked, I will always warn people against professing any kind of deep feelings for a brand. At the end of the day, even the particularly good ones are profit-maximizing entities that, when the times get tough, will let their values down and focus on profit. You should love your friends, partners, and family, but never companies. They are engineered to be appealing to their target audience, but they don't care about you per se. They care about you as a customer, as a promoter of their products, as a fan, but not as a person, so you shouldn't either. And I don't blame companies either. When someone says that a company is heartless or soulless, my response tends to be, yeah, how is that a surprise though? Here is the shocker. Companies have no heart. They are not biological in nature, but legal. They cannot feel love or hate. They are efficient algorithms that optimize resources to achieve the highest valuation possible. Morality rarely is a variable that plays a role. This is a cynic's perspective, but a necessary one. When relating to companies, especially those that create products we like, so this will be our topic today. Thank you for dropping by your channel. If you find that you enjoy our content, please consider subscribing and liking this video. I'm curious to hear your opinions on this topic. But now, back to the video. There are, I believe, 3 perspectives to consider when presenting why I don't believe companies are anything but profit-maximizing automaton. The perspective of customers, the perspective of the lawmakers, and the perspective of the workers that ultimately make up a company. Let's start with customers. Customers in this context are everyone who enjoys and purchases the products of a given company, be them movies, video games, groceries, or plane tickets. From a classical capitalist perspective, and to a certain degree also from a neoclassical understanding of the capitalist system, the tacit agreement between customer and company is quite straightforward. A company would undertake the risk of producing an item or offering a service, and in return they would charge the cost of production plus a premium to customers in order to enjoy that product. In other words, they would charge a price. However, it is important to outline that obviously not every transaction between customer and company is a smooth process in which every effect is quantifiable and each side of the equation is firmly balanced. For one, there is in more cases a power differential between producing companies and purchasing customers. We talked about this in our asymmetric information video, but basically a company will always know more about the products that they are producing than the customer, and all of their incentives will push them towards cutting corners and reduce costs to drive up their profit margin. A customer, in a world without protection, won't have any way of knowing or even addressing the company that sold them products once they are proven faulty. Obviously, we live in a world where capitalism is regulated by laws that protect the customer, just like they protect workers from exploitation. The customer protection laws, as well as customer organizations that pressure companies and governments to create them, are formed to compensate for the power differential that exists between customers and companies. But without them, companies won't pay their workers a minimum wage, nor would they guarantee a certain standard of quality to customers. Hence why the idea that a company might do so by their own volition is short-sighted. The most staunch liberalist of the crowd might argue that disgruntled customers in a free democratic capitalist economy would just go to a competitor, and that all those rules and regulations will only bog down the economy. I believe this to be ignorant. Without the government setting boundaries, the invisible hand of the market will not magically will a heart into companies. In a world without regulations, all competitors in an industry will be held to a lower standard of accountability. They may even decide to collude into a de facto cartel to make sure the average crappy quality is never improved, and without any collusion laws, who's to stop them? Joseph Schumpeter was a staunch liberalist that hated socialism more than anyone, but he understood the heartless notion of companies, and that even those in love with the free market and dog-eats-dog capitalism, certain rules need to be put into place. The second thing to consider from the customer's perspective are externalities. In economics, externalities are any cost for a given part of society generated by a given sector that remains unbalanced in the societal scale. For example, A company that makes money by making shirts might use toxic detergent to give them the final luster prior to sale. Once the detergent is used up, it might go into the river, poisoning the fishes and making the water undrinkable. When they sell their shirts, there is a part of the cost incurred by society around the factory that is not accounted for. Our previous equation of price equal production cost plus profit breaks down because a new variable is added. Society is owed the loss in productivity and quality of life derived from the production of such costs. In a world without unaccounted externalities, production costs should be driven up to compensate for the monetary losses included by the society affected by them. For example, like paying for care of poisoned people who are bathing in the river and got mild burns, or the impact of the diversity of the wildlife that they have had. I mean, obviously, the best solution would be if they did not send the detergent down the damn river, but from a capitalist perspective, the case against externalities can be incorporated into the equation like that. Once again, profit-maximizing companies are not pushed by an unrestricted economy to compensate affected customers nor citizens. Only when they do so, they will, by laws, by pressure groups, or by class action lawsuits. But all of those require a certain level of legal structures to make them possible, once again reducing the inherent power differential between companies and the customers. So, in my opinion, the first thing a customer should do is to lose the rosy glasses with which it looks at a given entity. The easiest way to do this is Googling the messed up things that they have surely done. If you love Apple, check the conditions of the factories in Asia where Macs and iPhones are created. If you love Disney, try and see how they treat their workers in some of their parks. If you love Amazon, go watch our video on how they abuse the retailers in their platform. Another part is understanding the core deal of capitalism. They produce things and you pay for them. Any other duty you feel they have with you is pure fantasy, or an incredibly successful marketing campaign on their part. Disney will never pay your mortgage if you can make ends meet, no matter if you're a platinum member of their theme parks. Warner Brothers will stop making your favorite movie franchise the second stops making money, no matter how revolutionary and committed they were to bring it to fruition. And Nike will not send representatives to the hospital to comfort you when you're sick. Remember this, and you will not give companies the opportunities to break your heart with actions that are truly just things going as they're allowed to go. Second, the perspective of the lawmakers. We mentioned how damn important it is to regulate the most negative behavior of companies. From the economic liberalist perspective, I believe that they need to take a page out of Schumpeter's playbook and regulate their worst impulses. Freedom of any kind is a garden that needs to be cared for, and tolerating intolerance in the name of freedom rarely goes well for any economy. It results in cartels, industry lobbyists in every minister's offices, and compromised liberalism. Liberalists that oppose government intervention really should consider the experiment of imagining what companies would do if they didn't have any restrictions and were only guided by unrestrained profit maximization, and think if they would want to be in need of them in that situation. Just like it is the duty of every informed customer to critically understand the deal of capitalism, it is the honest lawmaker's duty to let go of idealized notions of industry self-regulation or unhinged liberalism to consider that those heartless companies could do a lot of damage if they are left unattended. The third perspective to look at are those of workers within a heartless company. Now, this is perhaps the most important perspective to consider, because companies, as we opened this video saying, are not biological. They're inherently amoral. I am not saying that they're bad, this is important. They exist beyond morality. Like a toaster isn't good or bad in a moralistic sense. It is a freaking toaster. It is not bound by morality. It does what it was programmed and manufactured to do. Same with companies. But the people working for a company, especially those making the decisions, have a heart and understand morality. Apple is amoral, but Tim Cook is not. Microsoft likes a pulse, but not Satya Nadella. And Google will never tear up in front of a tragedy, but Sundar Pichai might break into uncontrollable sobs. Now, there are two versions of how morality works within structures like companies: the individualistic and the organizational. The individualistic argues that individuals in an organization remain solo moral agents, even within a larger societal structure, while the organizational indicates that the second we belong to a larger group, our moral instincts are reshuffled to ensure success within the group. Obviously, the power of workers to change a company is immense, since the company is nothing but the association of individuals. If they change their minds and decide to become an NGO untethered from profits, then so it will be. But there is room to operate while maximizing profits and being faithful to somewhat shared values. For example, in 2018, 650 workers of the San Francisco tech giant Salesforce brought a complaint to their management about a contract offering the Salesforce platform to the US Customs and Borders Patrol Service and the Immigration and Customs Enforcement that had recently been under tremendous criticism for separating immigrant infants from their parents after crossing the southern border. This effort did not bring forth any meaningful change though, since as far as I have been able to find, the contract still stands, but this situation highlights the truth of heartless companies. Salesforce has cultivated this culture of tremendous globalist perspective and liberal views in matters of race and immigration. So it was jarring for many workers who believed to be working for a company with the heart in the right place to discover a hollow cavity where only money flowed. Listen, viewers of this channel know how much I owe the Salesforce ecosystem and ultimately the company itself, but you cannot build your public persona and the marketing of your brand around inclusivity and internationality and then cash in through an entity that has children as young as 5 crying and wandering around cages asking desperately about their parents. So they obviously got called out for their hypocrisy, and they deserved it. In this case, the workers did not manage to inflict change, probably because the ICE and CBP contracts are just too juicy to pass on. But it still stands as an example of those that have a heart inside a company, breaking with the rules that perpetuate the heartlessness of it all. If I had to sum up this essay in 3 simple sentences, I would say to consumers, open your eyes. To lawmakers, regulate their worst impulses and then let companies be. And to workers, if you want your company to have a heart, make sure to listen to yours. So thank you for watching Rebel Economics. We hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing, and also drop a comment below. If you agree or disagree, or if there are perspectives I have not considered, I want to hear it all. Beyond that, check out some of the videos on the screen, and I will see you in the next one.